Welcome back to another Inner Edge podcast where we explore lives, lessons, and leadership of people making a real impact. Today's guest is someone who doesn't just sell homes, she helps people build futures. Juliet Krumholtz is a top-tier real estate agent with over 2 decades, and correct me if I'm wrong, of experience helping families find their place in the world, especially in Highland Park, Edison, and across the New Jersey areas. Known for her honesty, insight, and relentless work ethic, Juliet has become a trusted name in a business that's as personal as it is professional. And this episode will explore her journey, how she got started, what drives her, and the mindset it takes to succeed in today's ever-changing real estate market. We'll talk about moments that shaped her and mistakes to avoid, and why relationships, not just square footage, are at the center of it all. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, a secondary investor, or someone who just appreciates grit and grace, this conversation brings clarity, candor, and a deeper understanding of what it really means to serve people through real estate. Let's dive in. You know, they say that therapists and realtors are very closely linked. How do you find that?
They say that realtors are just therapists that show houses. I'm very often doing therapy between spouses and their parents that may be helping them. And it's a lot of hand-holding.
Wow. How did you get into the field?
So I'm going into my 23rd year.
Wow.
This week, actually. I did not work when my kids were little. At a certain point, I decided that it was time to do something. And I was always kind of making the matches between buyers and sellers and having ideas of what people could buy. And I decided, why don't I make it into a career? And I have an economics degree. It was kind of related, and I thought I would be good at it. And I was always a people person, and I went for it. And I started at a local agency in town, an independent agency. And my broker there really taught me to be a great realtor. He taught me never to cut corners. He taught me to be honest and be myself and help my people. And that's what I did. And I was there for many years until someone else that I worked with there decided he was going to open his own agency. This was 8 years ago.
Wow.
We went to our broker and we asked for his blessing. And he said, absolutely. And he opened an agency. I came with him, a new agency. That's where we are today.
That's amazing. It's incredible. And can you share a little bit about, what you love most about working in the real estate market, perhaps in New Jersey, or if maybe you've worked in other states?
So I have only worked in New Jersey so far. I love living where I work, working where I live. I've lived in this community for almost 34 years.
Wow.
And it makes a very big difference knowing the nuances of the neighborhoods and all of the details about the community. And you can only do that if you really live where you work.
Wow. For somebody who's watching for the first time and they're seeing, they're thinking they want to go into the real estate world, they might be living in different states. Do you feel there's some kind of advice or mentorship that was given to you that you can relate, or something that they can, for example, I've had personally people that I know that wanted to go into the real estate business and sell homes or buy homes, but they weren't really sure of which route to take. In your experience, do you find that there are some advice you can give people starting out?
I would just say start with what you know. Start in the community that you know. Start with the people that you know. You can't go from 0 to 100. You have to start with that first deal, that first contact. I knew a lot of people in town already. People knew that I was always the go-to. I have a reputation in town of being 411. The young people don't even know what that is. Used to be able to call on the phone 411 and it was information. And I'm known to be that. And people came to me for that.
Wow.
So you have to start with what you know, or it's impossible to get any client base from scratch.
Wow. How do you feel is the best way of finding clients? Or do you feel like they find you?
They find me.
They find you.
It's all word of mouth. I do almost zero advertising, very little. It's reputation. It's my name. It's just one friend. Every day, basically, I'll get a call. Oh, my friend told me to call you. It's referrals, one to another. I have to make sure that people are happy because that's how the next person comes along.
I agree. I feel like the real estate market is so relationship based. The quality of your life, the quality of your profession really comes down to relationships. And
yes.
And I think you're one of the, from my personal experience, I mean, you've helped me navigate throughout my own experience. Even this home happens to be thanks to you. Many stories I could share, but I wanted to ask you, what qualities do you feel make a great realtor today in the 21st century?
So there's a lot of realtors out there. A very small percentage of the realtors do the bulk of the business. So there's a lot of realtors doing almost nothing. You have to have the personal touch. I do everything myself from beginning to end. I don't have a transaction person. I don't have a secretary. I do everything myself. So I, for better or for worse, but I know every detail of every deal. I'm not handing you off to somebody else. You need information, you call me, you text me till 1 a.m, you know that.
Yes.
Whatever it is, it's through me. I don't have office staff. I do it all myself. And I am on top of every single deal, the details of that, because of that. You have inspections, I go. I wait for the inspector. I don't expect you to do that and then try to explain to me what's going on. I know everything that's going on. You have to have that person-to-person relationship and just not cut any corners ever. Just give it 100%.
That's incredible. You've helped so many families find homes. I come to people's homes for Shabbos and I see, oh, Juliet really was the one who sold us this home. We joined this community because of Juliet. It's amazing to see that. Since you've helped so many families, what does that moment feel like for you when you help a family move into town, find their dream home? Is it rewarding? Is it something you feel like, you know what, I really love my job because of this?
Yeah, so that's what it's all about. First of all, there are times that friends become clients. Right. And then there are times that clients become friends. Like you guys, I didn't know you before. Now you became friends. More than friends. It's a nachas for me. That's my greatest joy when I see, especially new people come into the community, and then I'll see them at the first wedding that they've integrated into the community, and people are inviting them, or I'll see them at an event and I'll see that they're talking to somebody else, that they've made friends, or I'll hear that they got invited somewhere. That's huge for me because that means that they found their place. And, I still don't let go all the way. I always keep tabs on everybody, but that for me is the greatest joy once I see that they've integrated into the community.
It's amazing. I think it's a tremendous quality of being a connector. Really, when you're helping somebody find a home, you're connecting them to other people, other community members, neighbors, shuls. I think it's very powerful. In such a competitive market, how do you stay competitive? It's such a dynamic housing market. You know what?
It all comes from above. Whatever I'm meant to get, I get. And thank God it's been a great almost 23 years. It comes. I'm still busy. I'm still hustling, and it's not about competition. First of all, we all work together. All the other realtors, we do deals together. So it's not, I don't see it as competitive. I have my people and I make them happy.
Wow. Is there an approach, or what is your approach to negotiations? How do you advocate for your clients?
So it's definitely changed over the years since COVID. I tell people I haven't negotiated a deal since before COVID because now there's multiple offers on every house and sellers are just able to pick, here are all the offers and pick which one you want.
Wow.
So there's not as much negotiation as there used to be. But my job, I have a fiduciary responsibility to my clients, is to get them the best deal, whether it's a seller or a buyer, whatever the market can bear. So I really go to bat for my clients, whatever that means in whatever market we're in.
Wow. Can you share a story, perhaps, of someone you've helped? Could be sell a home, could be buy a home, sell a home and buy a home, where the market was, sometimes the market goes up and down, and there's a lot of uncertainties, and one deal to go through, you have to first sell your home in order to buy a home. Perhaps you have a story that you can
Well,
share.
you know the story. Your story was one of the most amazing ones, because your wife called me that she was ready to sell, that you wanted to buy this house and you wanted to sell your other house, your existing house, but you didn't really want to put it on the open market. It was hard keeping it clean. It's always a challenge with a bunch of little kids and showings and leaving, and it was the winter time. And as she was talking to me about wanting to do it this way, I had another call, and I said, you know what, Jill, hold on one second. I have to take this other call. And I took the other call, and on the other line was a woman that I had never spoken to before. And she said, hi, we're just moving into the community, and we're looking for, and it was exactly what your house was. Do you have anything? And I said, hold on, I'll call you right back. And I called your wife back, and I said, I think I have somebody. And that was it. And we did the deal, and it was incredible. It was one showing. They said, fine, we'll take it. And we did it. And you were able to buy this house, and the timing all worked out. Yes. And it just, sometimes it works.
Hashgacha, I think it's Hashgacha Pratis.
It totally
and you
is.
Were
It's all it is. It's just, it was that exact moment. It's
amazing.
All falls.
Do you find that sometimes, without even looking, like certain things, like this story, things fall into place for you in terms of buying, selling, finding homes, finding clients?
For sure. I mean, sometimes it falls into place like that. Sometimes it's a little more challenging. It's not always simple. Sometimes it is. That's a misconception that it has to be difficult. It does not have to be difficult. Very often it's smooth, and people say, wow, I was prepared for the worst. I can't believe how smooth it actually was, and really stress-free. Do hiccups come up? Totally. But I've had so many over so many years, over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions, that we can get over it. We can get over just about anything and keep everybody calm and get to the finish line.
Wow. Can you share perhaps a transaction, something that happened that was particularly difficult and wasn't the way you originally planned? However, you were able to turn it around.
Totally. One of the most dramatic ones was I had sold a house to someone in the community. We were at the closing table. They had signed all of the papers already, meaning we were almost finished. They had moved out of where they were. They were basically technically homeless at that moment.
Wow.
They were sleeping on a parent's floor, I think, in a different town. And I was at the closing table, and I saw my lawyer's phone ring. He had left the room. I saw that it was the lender. I said, can I answer your phone? He said, sure. I answered the phone, and she said, this is not closing. And I said, excuse me? The lender was arrested by the FBI. No. We went on Google. We saw him being taken out in handcuffs, and they said, that's it. The deal's over.
Oh, God.
My people had nowhere to live, and my buyer was amazing. She was saying, God runs the world, God runs the world. And then I remember her saying, do you have any chocolate? And they were amazing. And I got on the phone and I called my lender that I work with all the time. And it was 5:00, on a Thursday or something. And I said, here's my buyer. He needs to close in the next 4 days.
Wow.
And we did it.
That's unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
In 4 days.
Yeah, they were able just to put everything all back together again with a different lender, and it was amazing. And they're living happily here. But
that's incredible.
Things happen, and we try to get them back on. I have so many stories.
That's amazing.
We had a story where there was a fire 2 days before the closing. We had a story where, unfortunately, the seller passed away unexpectedly in the middle of the transaction. I have a lot of stories.
Wow. For anyone who is looking to list their home, a seller, what are the top 3 things a seller should do before listing their home?
Okay. Make sure that anything that you needed permits for, that you got permits for, and do it ahead of time.
I can relate.
Can you relate? Your deal only worked so well because we had done all of our homework ahead of time.
I'll never forget that day.
And we did everything
Yes.
ahead. It took a very long time, and we wouldn't have been able to do the deal at that time otherwise. So if you did not get permits for things that you know you need permits for, I could help you with that. Take care of that before you list, because the deals go very quickly now.
Wow.
And you will lose a buyer if you have to first start getting all of your old compliance permits, we call it. Second, declutter. Get rid of as much as you possibly can. You're hopefully moving anyway. Throw things out. I don't care if you pack things up and put them in the garage, but clear out your space to the best of your ability. They also say to depersonalize. If you have very personal pictures all around, buyers get distracted and they start looking at the pictures and trying to figure out your life, and it's too distracting.
Wow.
So really clean up your permits, clutter, and depersonalize.
Wow.
And be sure you have somewhere to go, because everything goes
Beforehand.
very quickly now. You can't first be scrambling to find somewhere to go.
Wow.
You have to know. I just had someone come to me a couple months ago and they said they wanted to sell their house. And I said, where are you going? They said, oh, we don't know yet. I said, call me back when you know. And they called me back a few months later and they said, okay, we rented something. It was out of state. I said, okay, now we can list your house. You have to have all your ducks in a row before you list the house.
Wow. And what about the opposite, the buyer? What are some three things a buyer should do beyond, before looking for a home, before looking for a specific price?
So before you my first conversation with a buyer is, are you pre-approved? That's the first step. When we hang up, I send them a few lenders, speak to them. Sometimes people have a little problem with their credit that they didn't know about. A doctor's bill fell through the cracks. They may need time to clear that up.
Wow.
Again, everything moves very, very quickly right now. You have to have everything set before you go look at your first house. So yes, you have to be pre-approved first. You should know exactly how much down payment you're going to have. If you think you're getting gift money from a parent or from a family member, be absolutely sure. Don't assume anything, because you'll get into the deal and then you'll have to kill a deal if you're really not getting the money.
Wow.
So everything has to be laid out ahead of time, and know for sure about your finances, your credit, your pre-approval, all of that, long before you look at your first house.
I think that's golden advice.
Yes.
I've seen it firsthand. When you plan this ahead of time, like you said.
Then it goes smoothly.
Right, exactly. We're living in the world of AI now. Do you feel that technology and AI has shifted the real estate world?
Well, technology in general, when I first started, we used to have to go to let's say a buyer was making an offer on a house. We would print out the offer sheets, go to their house or have them meet us in our office, sign the documents, make 6 hard copies of the whole contract, drive around town, bringing one to the seller, to the seller's agent, to the office, to my office, to their office. There were 6 hard copies.
My goodness.
That in and of itself was a whole day. Also, buyers only knew about houses if we told them about the houses. There was no Zillow. The MLS was a book. It was very different then. Now buyers have a tremendous amount of information at their fingertips. Sometimes they know more than I do.
Wow.
Buyers look at Zillow and other platforms before they open their second eye in the morning. The technology has completely changed things, for good and for bad, because not everything is accurate. They think they know everything. They still don't know everything. But there is definitely more information in terms of what's available, and they can get more information about neighborhoods, houses that have sold in the neighborhoods. There's just more information, obviously. In terms of AI, I myself don't utilize it that much. I have started using it a little bit for the listing descriptions, but I'm kind of old school.
And it works.
And it works.
It works. You
Yeah.
know what? That's amazing. If there's one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time, we talked about sellers and buyers, but a first-time buyer, is there anything specific you would tell them?
Make sure you can afford it.
Wow.
Don't come crying later, when you're, God forbid, losing your house, or when things are very tight and you have to borrow money to pay for a hot water heater that breaks, or for something else. Live within your means. The buyers today are being pushed so far and so hard because the market is so difficult and the prices are high and the interest rates are high and there's so many other costs and closing costs and inspection. Live within your means.
Wow.
If you can't afford your dream house right away, start with something smaller. It'll get you in the market. You'll most likely make money when you sell it. But don't stretch yourself so far that you can't sleep at night or that you're compromising on something else. And I see it all the time. And that is the scariest part. And I'll tell people that, and if they don't listen, I worry for them. People are living beyond their means, and it's not healthy.
Is it this new generation that
Yes.
or even the older
yes,
generation?
It's the new generation. When we bought our houses the years ago, we redid one room at a time.
Wow.
The new generation, everything has to be perfect before they move in. Up to date, in style from 1 minute.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. It's 4 walls and a roof for your family. If you can't afford to redo everything before you move in, you do it little by little. People have to live within their means.
Yeah, and today it makes sense. People are constantly keeping up with the Coens, so to say,
Yeah.
with the Joneses.
It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. Yes, yes. What's one mistake you see sellers make that can hurt their chances?
Sellers could be blind. They think, every seller thinks that most sellers think that they have the golden house of the decade. They don't always see the truth.
Right.
They'll tell me they have all new windows, and I could tell they're 30 years old. They tell me they just redid their roof. When did you redo your roof? Recently, 25 years ago. Well, okay, you need a new roof. The sellers can't always see because they're living in it every day, and time can warp. They're not always realistic about the condition or the market, or they're sure. Something I deal with a lot in this community, because there are older houses, buried oil tanks. And I'll say, I for sure do not have a buried oil tank. Well, how do you know that? Because we don't, until we find it, and you do. The sellers have rose-colored glasses, and sometimes I have to help them.
And you educate them. You probably have to
Yes.
educate them.
Yes.
You deal with all types of people, difficult people,
Yes.
easygoing people.
Yes.
How do you keep that trust? You build that trust with these clients, and how do you deal with and navigate through the difficult clients?
It's trust. What did I tell you? If you were my kids, this is what I would tell
Absolutely.
you. It's so personal for me. I have to get inside everybody's head and everybody's life to see what's really right for them and try to keep them on track. If somebody is wowed by a house that's redone, but I know it's not the right house for them, I tell them, don't be wowed by that. You can create that in a different house. I have to very often get people back on track. In terms of difficult people, it's a challenge.
Right.
It's a very stressful, it could be a stressful time because people are parting with a tremendous amount of money or have the potential to get a lot of money, and people get blindsided by that. I try to also just keep everybody on track, keep everybody calm, and we can usually do it.
That's good. I was in conversation with a friend who recently moved from New York to Florida, and we were discussing how he sold all his properties in New York, and he told me from when COVID hit until now is the best time to move to Florida. Prices are going up. Would you happen to agree with that? Is there a specific time the market?
Look, I work here, so I believe in this community, but people are moving to Florida. I myself have kids that moved to Florida, and they're very happy there. Florida's a thing. There's tuition vouchers, there's no state income tax. You have to be able to deal with the weather. I don't know that much about the market there. I know that there was a huge wave during COVID. I think there's about to be a second wave out of New York into Florida. The prices in Florida do go up and down. Definitely, they've gone up exponentially since COVID. I think that I don't know that much about Florida.
Okay.
So I don't know, but Florida's definitely a thing.
But people are happy there.
People are happy there. Yes.
And people are happy here as well in New Jersey. So, how do you since you spoke about your family, how do you balance, being a very busy full-time real estate agent in New Jersey and your personal life? It's such a busy career. What's it like? How do you manage it?
So when I first started, my kids were little because it was decades ago. And now we have no more kids in the house. It's still, when I first started, they said, oh, you can make your own hours. So that's true and not true, because there are times that people can only look at a house at a certain time, and I accommodate that to the best of my ability. There are times that the inspection has to be at this time or whatever. So it's true and it's not true. It's certainly gotten easier for me as time went on, and I'm much more independent and don't have to be home at a certain time for kids to get home. But it's also a time that I want to spend, with my husband or travel or whatever. And I am, thank God, really, really blessed in that I'm able to do both. The technology does help. I'm able to write a contract from a laptop from an airplane, I'm mostly here, but if I'm not, nothing stops.
Wow.
I have great backup if I need somebody to show a house for me, even if I need to show 2 houses at once, and unfortunately I can't be in 2 places at once. I have great backup here, people who can show for me, and then I'll right away call you and say, how did it go, whatever. Not everyone can be everywhere at every time, but I really am, for the most part, totally there for everybody for every single part of the journey.
So you have flexibility.
Correct.
Yet you have a great team.
Correct.
If you need to be away or travel, you have that.
That's
great.
We do so much by phone, and I'm available 24/6, as I say.
Wow.
You could text me 1:30 in the morning, I'm going to answer you.
Yes, that is true. So. If you had to start from scratch, you become a real estate agent, you're starting from scratch. Is there anything you would do different?
No, it was such a great journey. The only thing I wish I had known then, you have to just know that not everything works. And if something falls apart, it's just the nature of the business.
Right.
And it's very often out of our control, and you move on and you stick with the people, and the people stick with you, and it gets done eventually. I used to get very disappointed in the beginning, and now I know that that's just part of the journey, and it took years to get there.
Wow, it's amazing. And if you don't know something, you like you said, you have a team you can go to, and it's great. So I only ask that question is for any listener who's listening who's saying, hey, I'm in my 30s and my 40s, and I want to go back. I want to restart and do something different. I want to sell homes. I want to invest in properties. They're still able to do it, and it's different nowadays. Do you find it's easier? Do you find it's harder?
Very different. I think the people that are starting now, most of them are not surviving in the business.
No. What's changed?
It's very hard. It's a very difficult market since COVID. It may be just starting to soften a little bit now, maybe the very beginning of a softening trend, but I'm not even sure about that yet. Wow. It was never this competitive in terms of getting a house. And you have to really be experienced to help somebody. I know the tricks of the trade. I know ways to help people win the deal. I think the majority of the realtors that are just starting now are not going to make it.
Wow. And because of the
competition? It's a very hard market right now.
Wow.
That's just my experience, what I'm seeing. I know that people have come to me that they're starting, and then I'll run into them and I'll say, how did it go? And I did one deal and that's it. I can't do it. Wow. I'm out. You find it stressful at times? It could be, definitely. It could be. There's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of emotions at stake. People sometimes feel desperate.
Wow.
And there's a lot of therapy.
Do you have any memorable stories that you could share, perhaps, that, someone's really stuck in, and you were able to move them along? Let's say they wanted to buy a house and then they said, you know what? My spouse is not in agreement with me. Whether it's a husband or a wife, they were nervous about the finances. We were saying living below your means. One was saying, no, we can manage it. And you came along and said to them, here's what I think based on X, Y, and Z. So
it's a very common issue that spouses are not always in agreement, about style of house.
Right.
This one loves modern and this one loves old. And I'll say, fine, let's find an old house that's been renovated.
Right.
And it still has the old feel, but it has all the modern conveniences. So we try to compromise like that. There's also very often one spouse that's more conservative financially, which is good. Because if you have two spouses that want to just spend their top dollar and buy everything the best and high-end everything, that's not good either. So you need one spouse to temper the other. So I do sometimes have to get involved.
Wow, good. It's good that you're involved and you're there to help. It's not just a transaction.
It's not just a transaction. These people become like family.
Yeah. Yes.
Are we not?
Absolutely, yes.
It's not just to get a deal done and then never speak to the person again. These are people that I'm living with and seeing people every day, even if they move away.
Right.
It's not just a transaction for me. It's very personal for me.
It's incredible.
There are times, though, also I have to tell them, okay, this is a business transaction. So you at a certain point, you have to get emotion out of it. So you kind of have to walk both lines.
So there's a boundary, but then also
yes,
you have to kind of feel each situation. It's different. And do you have? Fine. I have two questions. The first question is: you buy a house, you live below your means, and you save up just enough to do a renovation. How does one go about that? Where do you find someone, a contractor?
Come to me.
Okay.
I have people for everything, and I don't just give out names. I only give out names of people that I trust, that I've used for years, or that I've used myself. I'm very careful who I give out. I'll give you multiple people usually, but I have all the referrals that you need.
Okay, good. I'll put that in the show notes. Yeah. It's important.
I am the 411. I literally get probably at least 20 texts a day. I already had a whole bunch today asking for all different things.
It's amazing. It's incredible that you've built such trust in all the people you work with. And like you said, you don't advertise a lot, barely. And it's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
And people that you've helped, a lot of them become like family. So, I think it's a phenomenal job if your heart's in it. If you're in it for the money, I find that it's not as valuable or meaningful. So you bring purpose into it, you put meaning into it, which is really, really, I think.
Otherwise you can't survive.
Right, for sure. And I'm sure, like you said, now I understand when you mean by competitiveness. People go into it for the wrong reasons. It could be financial reasons, but if their heart's not in it.
It's so funny. I joined a WhatsApp group of other female Orthodox realtors, and they're all busy talking about their business this and their business model. And I realized I never thought of what I do as a business. For all the years, I never thought of it that way.
Wow.
That was so eye-opening to me. I never had a business model. This was just what I did. I never thought of it that way.
It's incredible.
I still don't really.
I think it's a good thing. On the one hand, it's a really good thing because if there's a quote, I think if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. And if you're just doing it, a lot of people are faced in the therapy world. People become doctors, people become plumbers, but they don't love what they do and they don't appreciate their work. They just do it because of the financial aspect. It's not the same. Like the quality of your performance probably won't be the same, and the quality of your life is not the same either. So I think you feel your quality of life is probably much more enhanced by the work that you do.
For sure. It's also knowing that not every day is going to be great.
Right.
There are days that are very challenging. There are days that I say, what am I doing this for? And you just have to get through that day and get to the next day where whatever the issue was that day gets resolved. It's just knowing that there are ups and downs and there are bumps in the road. Even though it can sometimes be very smooth, there are more often than not bumps, and we just have to smooth them out and know that the next day is going to be better.
It's a good message for, I think, any listener who's listening who's in any profession.
It's the same.
It's the same, yeah. Finally, what's your message to someone who's nervous, overwhelmed by this real estate process?
So you don't have to be. I am the best handholder. I stay with you from the beginning. I will talk to you all night if you need me to talk to you all night. I will hold your hand. I will go with you. Yesterday, I spent an hour and a half with a client at the township in the tax office. You want me to go with you? I'm happy to go with you. I stand by you every step of the way. You can attest to this fact.
I can. Definitely
every
can.
step of the way. Even if I'm not going to be involved in the transaction ultimately, right? You guys did not make a move without me.
Absolutely.
Even if I had no skin in the game. I'm there for you. I will lay out all the steps for you. I will always be one. I will tell you what the next step is going to be. Nothing's going to get thrown at you unexpectedly. You'll always know what's coming next and what to expect.
Wow, it's amazing. I'm so happy you came on for the podcast. I think it's a big treat for us because I've been hoping to do this with you for a while, and I'm so happy we were able to make it work today.
It was great, especially in your beautiful new house.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for all you've done for the first house, for the second house. It's really, there's no words that can describe to you the nachas that we feel and the, when we see our kids enjoying the space and everyone has more space, everyone kind of feels a sense of calm. That's what it really is.
Yeah, that's the end goal.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the work you do.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Pleasure.